Okay, so hi everyone. This is Professor E. Uh, Today we're going to be discussing chapter 3. It's about selection, basically about the conditional statements. But before I do that, let me just have like a quick review about what we covered last chapter. So we talked about different um, like how to print, how to display statements. We said using print. And by the way, when you print something, let's say like Python. So by default, when you add another statement, it's going to be in a separate line, right? So if you put, for example, um, it is cool. So when you run the program, that's automatically is going to be in two separate lines. What about if you want it in the same line? So you can have something like this, and then like this. So this will, you see that? So that's going to continue typing the same line in case, okay? So you can either, yeah, so if you use print, that's automatically is going to print whatever statement you have, and it will start new line for the next statement. If you want to continue, then just add and equal sign and then space. So we talked also about how to get input from the user. So we said, for example, let's say you want to ask about the name. So you can save it in a variable, say name. Now this is a kind of a special about Python. Python, you don't have to basically explicitly mention the data type. Like in other languages like C++ or Java, you have to put something like this. That means what is the type? Or if you have a number, you have to put, let's say, integer num, for example. In most languages. In Python, it's the program will basically figure out based on the value you are assigning to the variable, what type, what data type, is it integer or double. So that's something, one of the advantages of Python is you don't have to specifically and explicitly mention the data type. You can just put name, not because you called it name, no, because the value has quotation mark, that's why. So we use input, if you remember, we use input. So input means that you are getting input from the user. So whatever the user types, that's going to be saved automatically in this variable called name. Enter your name, okay? So this is if it is string, you just put input. But what about if it is a number? Age is a number, so we put int first, and then we put the input statements inside, which means we are converting this, because by default it is a string and we are converting to a number. Enter your age, for example. Okay. If you want to put, for example, grade, maybe it's floats. So you do the same thing, but you ask about the grade. Okay. So based on the value, okay, based on the value, so the program knows what data type. So for example, your name is, I can put name. Okay, your age is, and then you put comma age. And then finally, oh, your grade is, and then you put comma to separate like two different things, two different elements, because you have a string, which is quotation marks, anything between quotation marks, and then the variable. If you put them together, then there is a confusion. Maybe it's one thing. So we have to separate them. Just like in English, sometimes you use comma or whatever we use. So just to separate things. So sometimes we use comma, sometimes we use plus. So we use plus if it's the same type. Like for example, name, it is also string, just like the quotation mark. So it's okay to put plus because it's the same type. Now, age is an integer. Your age is a string. I cannot put plus. So let me run and show you here what's going on. So enter your name. Let's say Maria. Enter your age, 24. enter your grade. So let's say 85.77, 75. So it's going to say your grade is, your name is Maria, your age is 24, your grade, what happened to the, oh, because I forgot to put your grade. I was like, wow, what is it? All right, so do it again. So enter your name, Maria, your age, 24, in grade 85.75, as you can see. Now, if I try to put plus here, so the program is going to say, what are you doing here? These two, they are not, compatible. That's not the same type. So it may give you an error. Let me see. So name, Maria, age is 24. Let me see. Maybe it's when it's time to do it, probably it will. We'll see. So 85.75. Say, so when it comes to printing, when we got to the place, then we got an error here. See? So the error is because age is of type integer, because that's a number, as you can see, and you put it next to quotation mark, which is a string. Okay? So I can do that. The same thing also here. If I put plus, it's the same problem. And to make sure, you can just put print, and then you can put type. It will tell you what type. So for example, name, you're going to see str. Okay, so run it. Of course, it's going to ask me to start. And I'm given the information 24, 85, 75. See, tell me str name. Okay, and then for the other one, it's going to say integer type age. So if for whatever reason, or either because the program is too big and you cannot tell, you don't remember what type, because sometimes here you can tell name, most likely it's going to be string, age, most likely it's going to be integer, grade. But sometimes you may have like a variable name that you cannot tell by just, maybe like just X. I don't know, X could be anything. It could be string, it could be integer. So sometimes you want to check, you can put type and then find out. The program will tell you what type are we dealing with. Okay, so name, David, 32, 151. See, it tells me the type. str means string, integer means there is no decimal, just a number. Float is just like a decimal. Okay, sometimes they call it different, like double or float. Float in Python is more common, but in other languages you may not hear float that often, even though you can use it also. But you can hear double, like C++ and Java, they use double a lot. So double means decimal, it's the same thing. All right. So that's basically what we talked about last time, just how to get input from the user. So in chapter 3, we're going to be talking about something very, very important. It's about the conditional statements. So let's continue with this. Let's say we have a grade here. Okay, grade, and then I'm going to put int, and I want to find out if that grade is passing or not. Okay, so I'm going to put here input, enter your grade. Okay, so they're going to enter and it will be saved in grade. Now, how do I know if it's passing? I want to give a message. If it's passing, I would say, congratulations, you passed the exam, whatever. If it's not passing, which means less than 70 most of the time, then I'm going to say another statement, because here print always print whatever is in there. But sometimes, that's why I call it decision making, or decision making. So that means sometimes the statement will take place, sometimes it does not. Let me give you an example. So when you put if statement, if grade is higher or equal than 70, so the program will test, okay, the grade. If it is higher than 70, I want to do something. If it's not, you want the program to skip that and then do something else, okay? So when you put if statement, the condition, of course, the condition will follow if statement. For example, if I say, okay, guys, if you don't complete the assignment by the end of this meeting, and then it just took off, you're gonna say, oh, what you gonna do? So that's incomplete, right? So that's why we put if statement, a condition, then something will happen. So we put colon like this to show you that's the end of the condition. And this condition has to return true or false. It has to return a true or false. That means whatever statement you put after the if statement has to return true or false. If it rains, I will do something. If it does not rain, then I'm gonna go outside. I'm gonna outdoor. If I get, if I graduated from high school, then my parents will buy me this, for example. So there's always if, and then there is a conclusion. What's gonna happen? So here, what is special about Python is when you hit the enter key, can you see the indentation? So this is specific to Python. In other languages, they don't use the indentation. They use the braces. They use something like this. Let me show you. That means to show you the beginning and the end. But in Python, they don't do that. They use the indentation to show you that all the statements, so you have to, by default, you have it like automatically, the program will put it in the right place. But in case, let's say for whatever reason that the cursor is here, you have to push tab because you cannot put the statement here. If you put it, let's say here, if I put print, hey, you passed. So I'm going to get an error because it's not in the right place. There's nothing wrong with the code. It's just the indentation is not respected. So if I put run, see, even the error is called indentation error. So if you get this error, you know that you have nothing to do with the code. It's just you forgot to do the indentation. Okay. So here I have to just to push or to hit the tab key to show you that everything that is aligned with print will be under the if statements. Okay. So hey, you pass. So now if you run the program, hey, what is your name? Maria. Enter your grade. So I'm going to put, let's say 95. So the program will test. Is 95 higher or equal than 70? So it has to return true or false. Yes, true. So if it is true, then the program will execute that statement. See? Now, what about if it's not true, then the program will skip it. So I'm going to put, let's say, Maria, and then I put 60. So the program will test it. Is it true? No, so skip that one. See, nothing will happen. Why? Because there is nothing after that statement. So that's the end of the program. Okay. Now, what about if I want to put, what about another statement in case they fail? So we're going to put something called else. See, else. And make sure else and if statements are aligned on top of each other. Okay. And then again, we have to do the same thing, which is indentation. So I'm going to put print. Sorry, you failed. So now the program has only one of two choices. The first one that has only one if statement, there is no else, it's called one-way outcome. Because either something will happen, so that's it. That's all it shows. You know, sometimes like we fill out an application and we said, if you are a senior, skip this. Or if you are senior, do this. That means if you are not senior, don't worry about it. Okay? But sometimes they say if and else. So this is called two-way outcome. Either somebody will pass or fail, right? That's the only choice. Either you are present now in this meeting or you are absent. There's no third option. So there are many situations where you have only two outcomes. Either it rains outside or it does not rain. Okay. Either you're gonna graduate or you're not gonna graduate. So when you have two outcomes, then we use if else. As you can see here, when I run the program, so based on the condition, this is condition. And by the way, we have only one condition, but you can have more than one condition. We're gonna have examples about that later on. So if that condition is true, then the program will print or execute the statement under that if statement, and then ignore else. Ignore it. You cannot have both. You cannot pass and fail at the same. If that condition is false, then the program will ignore the first one and execute the else. Okay, so let's try it. So it's asking me. So I'm going to put Maria into your grade. So let's say 82. say, hey, you pass, and the second one was ignored. Why it's ignored? Because the condition is true. Now, what about if the grade is 50? So 50, hit the enter key, that's the other one. So the first one will be ignored, and this other statement will be executed. See that? All right. Now, what happened if I want to use another statement besides here you pass? I can add, as long as it is aligned, I can add more. I can say print, let's say, here you pass, congratulations, for example. Okay, you did great. Okay, so the same thing. As long as they are together, they are indented the same way, so they are part of the same block. We call it block. When you have a bunch of statements, but they're aligned. If they are not aligned, so this is a problem. You can't have it this way. They have to be indented. So we can call them block of statements. So the program will either execute both of them or will skip both of them altogether. See? So most of the problems that happen in the if statements usually because of the indentation, because people they don't pay attention to the indentation. So let's see here. Okay, so we have Maria, enter your grade. Okay, I'm gonna enter the passing 190. Say both of them will be executed. Here you pass. Congratulations. But the else will be ignored. Okay. Now what happened if the passing of the grade is failing? So I'm going to put here Maria 50. Of course, the two statements will be ignored because they are blocked together. And then the other one will be print. See, sorry, you failed. So if I add, as long as they are indented, okay, okay, you need to work hard, for example. So again, these two are together. So if it's failing, you're going to see that are together. See. Now, what happens if I do this? Can anybody tell me what's going to happen? Is it, am I going to get an error or am I going to get an unexpected outcome? What do you think? So you are the program, you are Python. How
I would say you would get an error because of the indentation.
All right. Anybody else has a different
I would
answer?
put an indentation so that it would be all together.
No, I understand that
Yeah.
part. I need that you are supposed, but what's going to happen? How does the program will interpret this? That means,
My
yeah, go ahead.
sorry. Yeah, my answer is like it will execute the last print. You need to work harder, even though it's inside the first if or outside the else, because it's it takes it like outside the whole conditional.
It's like a
It's
separate statement. It's like a
yeah,
separate statement. It has nothing to do with the if business.
yeah, it is
It's like
after the
separate.
else. So yeah, it's
It's like
separate.
it is separate. It does not depend on the content. Let's try it and see. So this is one of the things that people they don't pay attention to. So if I put Maria and then I put, let's say, a passing grade 90, so I'm supposed to get, hey, you passed, congratulations, you did great, right? But look what's gonna happen. The program is gonna say all these good things, but he's gonna add, you need to work harder. Well, I'm not supposed to get that, but because you did not indent it properly, the program consider that last statement as a separate one, like it has nothing to do with the F business. Okay, so be careful about this kind of situation.
Okay, now I understand.
Make sense? Yeah. So that shows you that the indentation is important. It makes a difference. It does not create an error. Sometimes it does. Sometimes it does not. Like for example, here it may create problems because you are separating the two. If I run it, as you can see, why? Because that statement that you add that was not indented, it's like a separation between the F and else. You cannot have else without F statement. I cannot just say else you're gonna be no, you're gonna get some points taken off. You cannot start with else. That means else only comes after F. You say if you do this, else something else will happen. So that's because it was not indented. So that's like it's like you separated the two parts that they're supposed to be together. Okay, So that's an error, which is different. The last one, it did not create any harm. Okay, basically, it did not separate, it did not divide, it did not cause any other issues. But this one, it did, because when you start from here, you are basically separating this part from this part. And they're supposed to be together with nothing in between. Okay? So just in case you have this, but they're supposed to have this. But as I said, sometimes you may probably in the quiz or the test, you may get this and then, okay, what do you think the output? Now, that's different than what are you supposed to have? That's different than what it should be, but what's going to happen? How does the program interpret this? Now let's add one more step. Let's say the people who got A, I want to reward them. I want to give them have like a pizza party for them, because they work very hard. They got A, and I want to reward them. Where shall I put that statement? I want to give them like a special statement. Now, hey, you passed, congratulations. That's for everybody who passed. 70 and up, anybody will get this 2 message. But I want to give a message to only A people. They worked very hard, and I want to reward them, as I said, maybe like pizza party, whatever. Where shall I put that F statement? I want to put it in such a way that only people who got A will get that message, nobody else. Where in the program it should be added? I have to put F grade is higher or equal than 90. But where shall I put that?
Another if statement?
Yeah, but where? Can you tell me exactly where? You can look at the line number. Where? Now we have the line number on the left side. So which line do you think I should insert that?
Line 11.
In between 7 and 8.
Very good. Excellent. Because you want to get that message and then put the condition here. So F grade is higher or equal than 90. Then again, use the indentation. It has to be, I'm sorry, I forgot. Because usually when you put the colon, it gives you the indentation automatically.
End.
See? And then I'm going to put print, let's say, we will have a pizza party. Did you see that? So this is called nested F statement. Nested, because it's part of another F statement. So they call it nested. Okay? So can you see here? So let's run it and see. We start with something very simple, and then you can build on it. Okay, so if I run the program now, let's say Maria, she's one of them. So enter your grade, she got 95. So what's going to happen if I run the program? She will get the congratulations message, the 2 message, but since her grade is higher, she will get also the second message. So all the 3. But somebody who passed but did not get A, maybe got B or C, so they will get only the first messages. Maria, she got, let's say, 84. She will get these 2 messages, but not the third one, because the second condition is false. And when it's false, the program will stop executing. Now, let's look from the other way, from the other side. What about if people who got so bad, maybe less than 50, I want to send like a message to their parents, maybe, if they are not old enough.
I would put that on line 13.
or complain to their children. Okay, so I'm going to put grade.
Email.
Yeah.
Personal direct email.
Or their grandparents. F grade.
Oh, no, not the grandparents.
Yeah, that's true, because even myself here, I have children, and sometimes my mother treats me like her little child. I have children, my children are almost like 20 something, and see, when I talk to her, she treats me like a child. Okay, why did you come back so late? And exactly like For them,
Mm.
for parents, it doesn't change. You can be 50, 60. For them, you are
Mhm.
that period.
That is very true.
Yeah. If grade is less than, let's say, 50, you can put equal or not. That's up to you. And then we're going to get a message. You can see automatically it's indented, and that
Mhm.
indentation also is aligned with
Lines
the other.
up.
Yeah. So that's what makes it. So you have to be careful about it. So maybe if they are low rate, I'm going to say, okay, your parent will be notified. Okay. So this is basically the structure of the if statement. Okay. In Python. So you put if, and then you put the condition, and then you put colon, and then the indentation is important, only one tab. And then every single statement that is indented, it's part of the same block. Okay? Once you hit the tab one more time, now you are going to the nested if statement. That's another if statement. But for this statement to be executed, this one has to be true because it's inside. I always give my students example. Let's say we have a complex, okay, like a complex of houses, and they have like the main security gate, okay. So for anybody to come inside, they have to go through that security gate. They check whatever your identification and stuff. And then inside the complex, there is a VIP section. They have their own security gate. So there is no way you're going to get to the VIP area until you pass the first gate first, then the second. So that's kind of clarify this concept because here you have the second statement of the if statement is inside the first one. All right. Any questions about this? Now let's run just to make sure it's working. So enter your name. So if I put here, what happened if I put 68? What am I gonna get?
You're gonna get only the else, but not the
Get-
minus 50. So you're
Yeah,
gonna get
I'm gonna get
until the
so
sorry
yeah,
you
so
fell. You have to work harder.
yeah, that's it. Because else,
Mhm.
because you did not, your grade is not higher or equal than 70. So the program has to go to the else, and then inside else, since your grade is not that bad, so you get only the two messages. Sorry, you failed. You need to work harder. Very good. Now, okay, let's add one more level. What about people who got B and C? I feel bad kind of about them. I want to reward them, give them maybe snacks or something. So I'm going to put here else. So I'm going to put here else. So this else apply to this if statement. That means it's applicable only to B or C people. So if I put print, you got cookies, something. See? So this if else, it is inside this, which means it's not going to happen until the grade is higher or equal than 7. If it's not higher than 7, of course, this will not be processed. And the same thing for the last one. Let's say people who are got close, I want to give them some help. So maybe I will ask them to come to tutorials. Please come to tutorials for help, something like that. If they're close, that means it's there. So see like how the program started as simple, if else, and then it starts building on it. Okay? So as long as you are paying attention to the indentation, you know what you are doing, then it shouldn't be a problem. So if I start the first time with this, you're going to say, what is this? That's complicated. But because we started step by step, first one, we have only two-way outcome. And then we treated each one of them separately. What about? So even the first one has F and else, and the else has another F and else and so on. Okay, any questions about this if statement, how it works? Make sense? All right, of course, it's going to take practice because even if
Uh,
you understand
That's
how
what
it
I was
works,
gonna say. This
yeah, you
looks
have to.
like it's gonna take
For
some
programming,
practice.
you have to. That's why I give you like a very good examples, like the practice, the programming assignment I give. If it helps lots. Basically like a it helps to grasp deeply like the concepts. I don't give like any type of questions or program assignment. I give you something that if you complete it and it makes sense to you, then you should have no more problems with this. All right, so this is one type. Now, can you do this one separate, different ways? You can. Sometimes you can use the and. Sometimes, okay. But we'll talk about this one later because I don't want to confuse you about this. But we're gonna and like when you have more than one condition, here we have only one, but sometimes you may have two or three. All right, so let's have another example. Let's say, for example, I don't want to say statement like this. I want the program to tell me whether I got A, B, C, or F. That's different, right? So here, okay, I'm going to delete all of this. Now, the question is different. I want the program to tell me whether I got, based on my grade number. So I want to get, did I get A, B, C, or failing, which is F. So how can you do that? So what is different now? The first one was very specific, okay? It's just statement, that's fine. But here, there is like we're dealing with the brackets, because to get A, you have to get from 1, there is like a bunch of values, okay? Any grade between 90 and 100, that's going to get you A. So let's go step by step and start from the top, A, and then keep going down. So here we're going to start with 90, right? So any grade higher or equal than 90, that's A, right? I'm going to put here print. Congratulations. You got A. Okay? So this is the first one. The first one. This is for A. Now, if I put else, what's going to happen? If I put else, what's going to happen? I'm going to put B and C and F, all of them in one category, which is not fair. So I can't do that. So that's why I'm going to put LF. That means else F. That means else means less than 90, but I want to limit it to B. So I'm going to add a condition if its grade is higher or equal than A. So this is like two things at the same time. Else, that means less than 90, because remember, when you say else, that means the opposite of what you have, right? So it's less than 90, but I don't want to keep it that way, because if I say else, then that's going to include B, C, and F. That's why I have to add another condition to limit it only to B. Else F, LF. That means if it is less than 90, but at the same time higher or equal than 80, so that's going to be B. Right. Now I'm going to keep doing the same way until I get to the F. So I'm going to provide a good job. You got B. And then I'm going to continue. Now, when I say else, it means less than 80, but I want to limit it also to higher or equal than 70. That's going to give me C. Print. You did okay. You got C. Okay. Then you can put else, because what's left? If you did not get A, if you did not get B, if you get enough. Of course, we're not talking about D. Some of them they use D. I'm just talking about the normal one. A, B,
F.
C. Yeah. So else means if it's not, it's like none of the above. You know, sometimes you have the options, none of the above. That means it's not the first one, it's not the second one, then it must be the last one. So I'm going to put print. Sorry, you failed. Sorry, you failed. You got it. See that? So that's different because we are talking about brackets. And then this one will help you with the first assignment that I'm going to give you. It's very similar, almost the same. The only difference here, we are dealing with grade, and the assignments I'm going to give you is about taxes. Taxes is also about brackets, right? If your income is higher than $40,000 or $100,000, the tax rate is this. If you are between this and this, let's say between 50,000 and 80,000 and so on. So it's exactly the same thing. So whatever you apply here, you're going to apply to the taxes. It's exactly the same. You just have to make a decision. You're going to start from the top or from the bottom. Like for example here, let's do it the other way. Let's start from the bottom. So can you see here, I put higher, 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 higher. The same thing, you're going to do it, but it's going to be less than, less than, less than. So let's do it from the bottom up. F grade, F grade is less than 70. That's miserable failure, right? So I'm going to put here, it's F. Then I'm going to continue the same thing, but this time, since I'm going from the bottom up, I'm going to start saying less than, less than, less than, all the way to the end. LF grade less than 80. So that's going to give me C. And then continue the same way. Don't stop. F grade, can you see like I'm consistent? No, just be consistent. Less than 90. And then it's going to say, and be careful that you don't include two grade or the same grade in two different categories. That if it belongs to B, you don't include it with C or stuff like that. Especially with the tax, sometimes you don't want to include the same income in two different brackets. So be careful about that. So here B, and then finally, assuming that you're not going to enter a grade that is invalid, that's another option. I can include it here also. So I'm going to put here else, because that's the only thing left. Because I start from the bottom, F, C, B. Now what is left? Just A. So I'm going to put A. So this is the same thing as the one we did earlier. It's just like how we're going to go from the top to the bottom or from the bottom to the top, but it's the same thing. So if you run the program, enter your name, you're going to get stuck here. And then it's 85. So 85 is going to be here. Why? Because it's less than 9. Same, it's going to say B. See? Now, is there a different? What about if somebody enters something unexpected? By accident, he put $200. 200. There's no grade 200. So I can prevent that from happening. What I'm going to do, I'm going to put, look, I'm going to put F2 grade is less or equal than 0. And you can use and, by the way. In other languages, they don't use and. They use like symbol to refer to and. They use ampersand, 2 ampersand. Like in Java and C++, they use the 2 ampersand. In Python, they make it more friendly. So they use and or. If the grade is less or not and, or grade is higher or equal to 100. That means either less, negative, or higher, assuming that 100 is the maximum. Then I'm going to say it's invalid. Look, invalid grade. Please try again. Please try again. See that? So now look at this grade. I'm going to put it under else. Look, all of them. Because else, that means if the grade is valid. Now I have to make sure all of them are what? Are indented. Otherwise, I'm going to have a problem because they are parts of the else now. Everybody get this? So now they're parts. See? So make sure they are all indented to show that this part, the whole, this block, is under else. That means if it's valid, then we can talk about A, B, C. If it's not valid to begin with, why should I waste my time? If it's not valid, you enter negative 20. There's no grade negative 20. So I put it under else. Does this make sense? If it is valid, get one statement. Else, then start looking at this. All right? Make sense? Any questions about the F? Now about this one also, I can do it in different. Some people they may do it a different way. Like for example here, you know, some people they may do it different. Let me do it like a different way. Using and. They want to use LF. They're gonna put F grade So in this case, you don't even have to use this. Some people, they may use the different way. They would say, okay, let me use and. If the grade is higher or equal than 90 and grade, oh, I forgot to put the grade. Oh, I would have. And then less or equal than 100. Then you can say print A. So that's another way to do it, right? It's like two conditions at the same time. If it is higher or equal than 90 and less, so it's like you are making sure it's valid and within the limit, you get A. And then you do the same. You don't even have to use else. You're going to use a different F statement. And the same thing for the rest. So you're going to put F grade is higher or equal than 80 and grade, but be careful that you have to put 90, but without equal sign, because equal sign already belong here. You don't want to use 90 for both. Okay? And then you do the same thing. Print B. I'm just showing like different ways of doing things. And then you continue. If grade is higher or equal to 70 and less than 80, then print C. And also the last one is make sure it's not, it's higher or equal than 0. Okay, you don't want it to go negative. And then grade is less than 70, then it's FC. You got that. Okay, so that's like a different way without using the else part. It's like you are using separate F statement. Now, what's the difference between them? The difference is when you have a separate F statement, the program has to test every single one of them. But if you are using F, LF, 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 the first time the program finds that the condition is true, it will stop and exit the F statement. It's not going to finish the rest because only one of them take effect. Let me repeat what I'm saying. So when you are using F, let's say, and then the condition, do this, LF, LF, this is one block. So the program will test the first condition, the first one. If it is true, then it will execute and then exit the F statement. It will not finish the execution of that F block because it's one block. But if the first condition is false, it's going to try the second one and then test it. If it is true, execute, skip, and then exit. But for this one, it's not going to skip because there are 4 separate F statements. The program has to test every single one of them. So to summarize, like the FLF will basically save your time and save your coding. It's more efficient than this. But most of the time, they don't ask about efficiency, at least at this point, as long as you get the job done. So if you're taking the first classes, programming fundamental 1, 2, nobody asks about efficiency. We talk about efficiency starting from programming fundamental 3 and up. Then when you start, evaluating the efficiency of the program, which program is more efficient, which one takes less resources, and stuff like that. That's like an advanced discussion. But at this point, nobody worries about the efficiency. All right, so that's the F statement. So let me stop for a minute and then see what questions do we have and see if you can apply what we learned in here. Now, the first program, this has nothing to do with F statements, by the way. It's just like whatever we learned in chapter 2. So you're going to write a program that read, that means you're going to use input, right? So you're going to ask the user for the subtotal, how much did it cost them to go to a restaurant, and then how much percentage for the tip or gratuity. And then you're going to compute. You're going to calculate how much the tip, and then how much the total after. And then you're going to include also the tax, I think. Well, no, there is no tax here. So that's easier. So basically, you're just going to include the tip. And as you can see, the example simplifies it. So enter the subtotal enter the gratuity in percentage. 15 means 15%, which means you have to multiply 10 times 15 divided by 100 to get the tip amount. And then, so 10 times 15 is 150. If you divide by 100, that's 1.5, $1.50, right? So you're going to add it to the original or the subtotal. So that's going to give you 11.5. So that's very simple. There's no if statement, it's just calculation. Now, program number 2, remember I told you that it's very similar to the grade. How is that different than the one that we just did about the grade? You have bracket, you decide you want to start from the bottom or from the top. It's totally up to you. Now, first we started from the top. So you can say, okay, first you're going to prompt the user, enter your income. So they're going to enter, doesn't really matter, integer, double, or the float, doesn't matter, okay? It's better to have it float, so to use float, because it has the decimal. And then you're going to say, let me switch here. Oh, this one covers the, we need to move it out of the way. For the Zoom, that has that one, and then it covers the top. All right, so for that question, so you're going to ask about the income. So it's the same thing, but you're going to put income. It's the same thing. Enter your income. And then you're going to do the same thing, exactly the same thing. If income is higher than 40,000, so you may have like a variable maybe for tax. You can say tax is 0 to start with. And then you're going to start. Then tax is income multiply. You can either change it to decimal or multiply divided by 100, whatever works for you. So if it is, let's say here, it's a 23.7. So 23.7, that's 0.237, okay? And then you print, or maybe you print at the end, just calculate the tax. And then what you're gonna do here, LF, remember? LF, income higher than what now? So it's the same thing, exactly the same, higher than 20,001. Now you are in the second bracket, 20,001. And then you do the same thing. The tax is income multiplied by whatever you have in here, which is 10.8%. So you're going to put 0.2. And then you continue. LF. What? Income is higher. You look only at the bottom part, the bottom, see? 10,001. Now, if you start from the bottom up, start from this, then you do it the opposite way. So you're going to start putting less than 50, less than 10,000, less than 20,000, so on. So whatever we did with the grade, you do the same thing. Higher than 10,001, and then you continue. And then tax equal income multiply by 5.5. So be careful that it should be 0.05. And then when you finish all of it, then you're going to put only one print. Your tax is, or something like that. So you don't have to print it every time. Just wait until the end and print whatever the value of X. Your tax is tax. So that shouldn't be a problem. Any questions about this particular program? So it's very similar about the one that we have. Very similar. It's just your choice. You want to start from the bottom like what we did, or from the top. All right, let's see another program. Program number 4. It's going to be the same thing. Now it's going to be the if statement. Remember we did the nested if statement? The first one has nothing to do with if statement, I think. No, it does. It does. I'm sorry. I thought it's about conversion. It talks about create a program that prompts the user to enter temperature in Fahrenheit and display this temperature is above the boiling point if it's exceed 212. and display this temperature is below, or otherwise this temperature is between. So you have three outcomes here. So use any F statement type you feel comfortable with, as long as you get the right answer. So you have three outcomes, either higher or less or in between. Okay, so you can use LF also. Just be careful that all the three should be mutually exclusive. Okay, there should be no overlap. Okay, now the program number 2. That's a very good program. Why? Because you are going to be using nested ifs. Let me explain what the program is. So basically, this is about internet bill. Okay, that was like a long time ago. I'm not sure if you remember when they used to charge per minute. So you get 300, like Verizon and AT&T. They used to charge per minute, like 300 per month. And then if you exceed, or 700 minutes, and then if you exceed, they charge you fees. Of course, it's not the case, but this is an example of this. So you have to choose the package, or sometimes at the airport, sometimes they have, different package. Okay, you want to use per hour or for the whole night. I don't know about now. Most of them probably are for free now, but they used to charge for that. They used to have different options. So anyway, here we have 3 packages. Okay, so you have to ask the user about what package they want to choose or they want to opt for. If they choose package A, then they have a flat rate of 9.95 up to 10 hours. So if they talk for 10 hours or less, they pay the same thing, 9.95. Now, if they talk more than 10 hours, which means you have to ask them about the number of hours. So after you ask them about the package, ask them about the number of hours inside. Okay, so here, let me show you. So it's the same thing so you're gonna ask about the package. Okay, we're gonna say, let's say pack. Enter your pack. And this one is gonna be only string. So it's not an integer, A, B, C. Okay, so you're gonna put if pack is equal to A. Okay, what's gonna happen? Okay, they choose package A. We know the flat rate is 9 point, but you have to ask them how many hours. So which means you have to ask them about the hours. Hours, input. Of course, change it to integer. Input, enter your number of hours. Can you see that it's a nested F statement. Enter the number of hours. And that will be saved. Then you have to test the hours. If the hours is less than or equal than 10, they will be charged flat rate. Okay, so you can say, for example, you will pay flat rate of 9.95. Okay, now what happened if else? What does else mean? They talked more than 10 hours. So what do you think is going to happen in this case? Based on the description, they said additional hours, that means beyond 10, they will be charged $2 per hour. $2 per hour, but only for the difference. The first 10 should not count. That's flat rate. So which means you have to calculate the difference between how many hours they consumed minus 10. So you have to look at the hours. We're going to put now. If the hour else means higher than 10, then you calculate the difference. You can say, for example, you will pay, or your bill is, and then you have to use the calculation. So it should be what? Whatever hours they consume minus 10. Multiply by what? By what? Additional hours for
$2.
$2.
The
For the
2.
So you have to multiply. How do you multiply? In Python, how do you say multiply?
Oof. I was gonna say the 2 asterisk stars, but that's
Yeah.
exponents.
Asterisk 2. Is this correct? Just hours minus 10 times 2?
Only one.
But what shall I do? Like, what's the plan? Hours, let's say they talked for 15. So 15 minus 10 is 5. 5 times 2 is $10. That's extra.
Yeah, but
they
you
still
need
have to pay for
to.
the
Yeah, you need
and
to add
The
the
minutes,
first.
maybe?
exactly. Thank you so much. So you have to add 9.9. I mean, you can put this in a variable, that's fine, or you do it directly. Okay? So this is only if the package is what? Is A. So this is only for 1. So you have to go and continue the same thing and then go LF pack, and then you continue all the way to the end. B, and then continue. Now, the reason I put hours inside, because if they choose package C, then they should not be asked about the hours because it's illimited. Because somebody may say, why didn't you ask for the hours here? Well, because not everybody should be asked about the hours. If your package is C, as you can see in the description, package C for 1995, that's flat rate. No questions asked about the hours because they have unlimited access. So I cannot ask them about the hours if it's not necessary for them to, to be asked that question. Okay, so we just finished the same way, continue just like A, you're gonna put the same thing for B. Now for C, you're gonna do the same thing, it's just flat rate, no questions about hours. So you should not ask them about the hours. So for C, don't add the hours. Why? Because it's unnecessary. Just flat rate, whatever, 19.95. Everybody get this? I think that's a very good example because it shows you how to use the nested if statement, in the relevant, using like a relevant topic or question. All right, this is the programming assignment, and there is a PowerPoint. You can go over it, see, just kind of make sure like to make sense of this. That's it. Any questions about this conditional statement?
I have a question. The way I turned in my assignment, I had put line 1, line 2, and I used Notebook. Is there other ways you would prefer us to turn in, or other options besides
as
Notepad?
I said, as long as the program can see the code. Oh, you are using Jupyter?
I was using
Jupyter?
Python,
Do you have
but
like
I took picture.
no, it is Python, but
Yeah.
they call it. There is one code. I like it. I like it as a teacher. It helps me a lot. Like when you have like cells. Is that what you were doing?
Mm-hmm.
It's a notebook.
No,
so you type.
I.
Oh, that's a different one.
Yeah, I just typed it out for you.
Okay.
I didn't know if that was accepted.
If I can see the code,
or if there was a better way. Okay.
Whatever works for you works for me. Okay. If I can see the code, I can see it. Okay. That's all I want. Take a screenshot of it, or you can copy it in a notepad and then send me the file, or whatever works for you. As long as I can see the code, it would be nice if I can see the output. Maybe when you run the program, you can just take a screenshot if you want to. But the most important thing, I need to see the code. How? It's totally up to you. As an image, as a file, whatever works for you. I think I forgot to mention, I'm sorry, talk about project one. Oh. But it's not due. That means you will have time anyway this week and the next week. But I'm just going to go over it very quick. And then if you still have questions, because it's not due until October the 12th, usually we have 2 weeks to work on it. And it's very simple. We have 2 parts. The first part, Grimaldi's pizzeria needs a program to calculate the number of slices a pizza of any size can be divided into. The program should perform the following steps. Input, that means ask, input, your first and last name. So ask about the first and last name of the person. And then ask him to enter the diameter of the pizza in inches. They can enter any number they want, a random diameter. Let's say 10, 5, 20, whatever. And then you need to calculate the number of slices that may be taken from a pizza of that size. How are you going to do that? It's very simple. You calculate the area, as you can see, to get the user's name, the slice, you just divide it by this number, 13 points. So you get the area, the area of the circle, right? if you have the diameter, if they give you the diameter, you divide it by 2, that's going to give you the radius. And then the formula for the area, it's what? Pi r squared, or you can just use 3.14 times radius times radius, okay? Square. And then whatever you got, you divide it, as you can see right here. To calculate the number of slices, simply divide the area of the pizza, that's the circle, by 13.524. That it cannot be easier than that. Very simple. So again, you can ask the first name, the last name, and ask him to enter the diameter, like randomly, diameter of the pizza. Calculate the area using the formula pi r squared, or 3.14 times radius. And then whatever you got, you divide it by 13.524. And then you get the number of slices. You can round it if you want to, or just leave it like that. That's fine. Okay? So that's the first. Very, very simple, straightforward. The second one, so you're going to be using the F statements, LF, based on choice. Like you have a menu, and then you have to, the user will choose. Like if they choose, you can ask them, okay, what is your option? What is your choice? And then first one, you have to copy this. This has to be copied. Like for example, you're going to put this in here. Of course, using print. You're not going to put it like that. You have to put print. That means print if they choose number 1, like this. So all the way to the end. So that's the first choice. And then second one is print number 2. And then you close it. Of course, you don't forget the parentheses. And then, because when you run it, that's the first thing they would see. It's like when you go to the ATM machine, what's the first thing you see? The choices. 1, check your balance. Number 2, make a deposit. Number 3, withdraw. Number 5, do this, exit, and stuff like that. But they have to see the menu first. So that's what you need to do here. 3, so you have to print this and then ask them, okay, make a choice. What is your choice? So you're going to put something like this, 4, and then close it. Of course, quotation mark. Okay. So when you run the program, that's what they're going to see. Okay. And let me just delete this. Close the program first. So that's the first thing they need to see is the menu. So when you run it, that's what they're going to see. See? Ask the user for their age and determine whether the user. So, and then you ask them about enter your choice. Enter your choice. Or maybe like you should put it in variable. Enter your choice. Inputs. Enter your choice. And then you're going to use the if statement that we learned to see if they choose number 1, okay, then ask them whatever question you need to have so they can calculate this. Enter your choice. Sorry, here not much in. Sometimes I use the Java version. So choice. And then we're going to start. If choice is equal to 1, that means they choose the first one. Ask the user for their age. You're going to ask them. Print. Enter your age, for example. Okay? Of course, they have to save it. Okay? So I'm going to put age equal input. So what's going to happen? And determine whether the user was born in an odd or an even year based on the age. So if based on the age, you can tell what is the year, right? How are you going to find out the year they were born based on their age? So if they are, let's say, 30 years old, so how can you tell what is the year they were born? What calculation needs to be made?
I mean, you need to put 2025, then
Exactly.
like yeah, subtract the actual
Subtract
age,
the age, right?
and
So and
then
that
put
one, go ahead.
yeah, and then put if elif, like if it's
Even or odd,
odd
right?
or not, yeah, with
Yeah, exactly.
conditional. That
So you need to find, maybe you can put here the year equal 2025 minus 8, for example. And then you're going to say if
Mhm.
the year, and then you're going to use the percentage, remember, for odd. If
Mhm.
it is 0, then it is even. Otherwise, it's odd. So that's the first one. And then you're going to continue with the same thing. Okay? So you're going to put something in here. Print, okay, even year. And then if it's else, I'm going to put print odd year. And then you continue the same. This is only for the first question. So then you go back and then put LF choice is 2. So what we're going to ask them about 2? Oh, the text. So tell them calculate the text based on the user input. So you're going to ask them about the amount and then the tax rate, and then you are going to subtract the tax from the price. And then number 3, convert Celsius. So you're going to ask them if the choice LF choice 3, then you're going to ask them just like this. It's just like a kind of a little bit long, but it's the same steps. Okay. So if it's choice number 3, ask them enter the temperature in Celsius, save it, and then do the conversion formula. If you don't know, I think it's Fahrenheit. Oh, we're going from Celsius to Fahrenheit. So you're going to do the opposite. I know from Fahrenheit to Celsius, you put minus 32 times 5 over 9. So you just have to look it up and then find the formula to convert from Celsius to Fahrenheit and then print the answer. And then number 4, you're going to put, okay, just quit, which means basically just put statement, thank you for using the program or something like that. So that's pretty much how it works. We will have time next week. We will go over this again. So don't stress out about it. We have 2 weeks to get it done. Okay, any questions, any concerns, any thoughts, any feedback? All right, so I'm gonna post this in, let me stop doing.